well. You guys can contribute as much as you want. I just want to say what Triller is doing. I don't think it hurts boxing at all. Okay, I listened to what's her name, the actress who came on the Zone and was talking about how Triller and Floyd versus Logan Paul, it hurts boxing and where boxing is going to go from it. Listen, all of this fatalistic nonsense that you can't adjust to what's happening to you around boxing merely makes some people look very I don't know, fickle. Okay, boxing proper, professional boxing we're talking about is still alive and kicking. Okay, what we've gotten is what we call crossover events. They're events. They're not boxing fights. They're not boxing matches. They're events. Triller has legends. The Paul brothers have their fights. Floyd Mayweather has his fights. The Paul brothers have their fights in Showtime. Mayweather has his fights in Showtime. Now, all of these things is good because if people are talking about boxing, it's good for boxing. It just offers a sort of more united opportunity for boxing to be seen in a greater light and more people to be involved in boxing. TikTok versus, what is it? Twitch, I think it is. These guys are fighting each other. Good for boxing. YouTube fights. Good for boxing. Seeing celebrities calling each other out to fight each other. Good for boxing. Why? Because everybody's boxing. Everybody wants to box. Everybody's getting up now and not just talking anymore about boxing, but they want to do it at various levels. Let's separate an event from a professional boxing competition among elite boxers. The events that we've seen, Logan Paul versus Mayweather, Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley, the Thriller pro fight between Evander Holyfield and Vitor Belfort, Anderson Silva versus Tito Garcia, is it? I think it's Tito Garcia, right? These are events. Logan Paul's not a boxer. Floyd's a retired boxer. It was an exhibition. Jake Paul had a pro fight, no problem, but it wasn't against a boxer. Okay? It was against an MMA icon. Anderson Silva is a boxer now, but he's really a retired MMA fighter. That's what he's known as. And Tito is a retired MMA fighter. So those are what we call events. They're special events. They're not to be taken as a professional boxing fight against two boxing elites like Errol Spence versus Terrence Crawford, or Terrence Crawford versus Sean Porter, which looks like it's purse building today, or like Canelo Alvarez versus Caleb Plant. That's Super Bowl events. They may not be as much in pay-per-view as maybe some of these events that happen. But I'm going to tell you, those are the Super Bowl events of boxing. They're the pinnacle of boxing. Let's not make no mistake. Okay? So what a lot of people say, well, boxing is in a bad light, blah, blah. Listen, shut up with that nonsense. You have to be able to understand the difference between a Legends event in which two legends face each other. It's a special event where these two legends are going to perform for you guys so you can see them display their skills. And you'll be excited about it. Because I heard Mike Tyson say on a certain stream that he was looking forward to facing Lennox Lewis. I would love to see that. I would love to see that. Hell, I'd love to see Mike Tyson Buster Douglas too. Hell, I would love to see Mike Tyson versus anybody, actually. If we still got Evander Holyfield he can face, do it. Do it. If you get that lease on life where you can live life to the fullest, do it. Take the necessary precautions. Be very careful. Have the people responsible for your life that can take care of your life in charge of these things so that you do a good job of it. But do it. Why can't we have a seniors tour? Julio Cesar Chavez would be kicking ass in his exhibition fights. Looks really great. Throwing it down. I would love to see Julio Cesar Chavez versus Felix Trinidad. Oscar De La Hoya versus Julio Cesar Chavez 3. Julio Cesar Chavez versus Tony the Tiger Lopez. I mean, Tony the Tiger Lopez is big now. But Tony, get back in shape and let's go again. All right? It doesn't have to be a pro fight. It can be an exhibition. And I challenge these fighters. I challenge you to live your life again. And yes, it's going to be an exhibition. It's not going to be like a all-out war. It might turn out to be something like that, but put necessary precautions in place. And go for it. Who says you're too old? You're not too old, but you have to be careful. If you have health problems, whatever, you have to be careful. That's all. My 2 aunts turned 70 yesterday. And they look young. They look like they're 50. I am 46. And if I clear off my beard and stuff, you swear I'm a 30-year-old or a 20-year-old. Right? I wear this. I keep my hair like this so that you guys would think I'm older. We're getting healthier and younger. And if we have that vitality still inside of us, people's primes are getting longer. If we have the vitality inside of us, go for it. Do something. Do something positive. Raise something for charity. Let's go. And if you feel good about yourself after duking it out in a fight, let's go. It's dangerous, but it's not that dangerous if you know what you're doing and you have defense. Once you have defense, it's okay. You could be 100 years old. If you got good defense, listen to me carefully. You got good defense, you can roll and ride punches. You can take the steam off of that stuff. Yeah, you need to be careful because you might break a hip if you fall. But other than that, defense, baby. And who knows? Maybe we'll have 100-year-old guys one day who they're doing everything. They're doing everything the younger guys are doing. Okay? I'm going to tell you this. I feel better than when I was younger. When I was younger, in my 20s, I would wake up with partially paralyzed. Sometimes I couldn't open my eyes and stuff. When I was older, I had stomach problems where I was really muscular and everything, and I just fall down. I just collapse. As I'm going about places, I get dizzy and just collapse. I remember I fell straight through a library. I don't do that anymore. My body is healthier than it was back then. In fact, because of all the stuff that I'm doing with boxing and stuff, I can get up right now and just go for a jog or go for a run. And it doesn't affect my body. And not, before I was doing boxing, remember I had serious abdominal stomach problems. I was precancerous. Before that, I couldn't do it. My body was so weak and so damaged. And now with this sort of lifestyle I have to live around boxing, which is much more healthier, I can do all those things. And I'm even healthier than I ever was in my life. And all I'm saying to you is that boxing is a very good positive sport. And the more, even our icons, people say, we don't want to see our icons anymore. Shut up. Because there are people who are very nostalgic. When I see Holyfield going to the ring, it was very nostalgic. And he always has that little smirk and that little smear. Let's go into war. I like him. And all I'm saying is, if the icons want to do it, do you know what it is to live for something and to be able to have the opportunity to put it on display again? That's what keeps these guys alive. You could tell Thomas Hearns loves it. If he could get in that ring and do it, one more time, he would love to do it. I'm sure. But, of course, common sense needs to prevail and, necessary precautions will need to be put in place. We need to have to be healthy enough to be able to do it and all these things, But if people could just work with him to get the right things and the right nutrients to him, who knows what it could do for him? You just never know. It's a dangerous sport. Let's not get it twisted. You can die in it. But at the same time, for guys who know what they're doing, and then necessary precautions are put in place. Listen to me very carefully. Necessary precautions are put in place for the fighters. It's going to be an exhibition fight. It's only going to be 3 rounds or 4 rounds or 2 rounds. Just to throw hands in the ring. You know how much some of these guys would be so thankful to be able to do that? Do you know? So I'm just saying, and you never know how much endorphins pump through a guy's system when he can just do it. Just do, I know Paul Williams. I don't know if he's interested in boxing anymore, but if he could get an opportunity to stand up and fight, and I'm thinking, you can get an exoskeleton for him and put his legs into the exoskeleton so that when he thinks he can move his legs. Just imagine having that opportunity, Paul Williams, once again, to just throw some punches and to move around a ring. And I'm just saying, technology is there for him to do that, by the way. But I'm just saying, you know how beautiful that would be? Do you know how wonderful that would be? So there's a lot of things that make people have a desire to live and keep on going. I look at Mike Tyson. He's the happiest guy in the world because he's got to go back into the ring and display his skills, what he was born to do. And there's a lot of these fighters are born to be fighters. That's how they inspire people. That's how they entertain people. And when you can't necessarily be what you were born to be, it can be a bit, a downer. Right? So that's all I got to say for now. But definitely, I'm not against legends. I'll never be against it. People are talking down Triller and stuff. I think it's just it's a new variation of boxing that we can entertain and enjoy. It doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be the greatest thing since sliced bread. Why are we putting so much pressure on something new? When DAZN just came out, people were talking it down, and still to this day, people attack DAZN. I love DAZN. If it wasn't for DAZN, we wouldn't see Katie Taylor. If it wasn't for DAZN, we wouldn't see Amanda Serrano. If it wasn't for DAZN, we wouldn't have all these beautiful women boxing on display. DAZN has done that. Nobody else was doing it. Showtime was doing it in little pieces, Heather Hardy, but DAZN was featuring that. DAZN has done a lot of good things. So I'm not against DAZN, and because it's an app, that means you can't. That's the future, absolute future. So what's the problem with DAZN? But people always are negative and very pessimistic about everything. Boxing is the most wonderful sport in the world. What is wrong with you guys? The people who are behaving that way and they're always saying something negative about every situation, ask them this: what have they done in their lives? Maybe that's the problem. Maybe the problem is they're dissatisfied with their lives, and so they're palming it off on a sport. Because I just don't understand otherwise. I don't think boxing is dying. I don't think boxing's in a bad place. The only thing I say about boxing, and people always trash talk all the time, and now they use Twitter to trash talk. It's okay. My only problem with boxing, and we're evolving with this one as well, is people not cheating. Patty the Batty Bimlet. Yeah, shout out. I love Triller. All right. Patty the Bammy Bimlet. Yeah, Triller's cool, man. Triller's really cool as an app. I like it. And I like what they're presenting so far. And I also like DAZN. And I also like Showtime. And I also like ESPN. Okay? I like them all. And why can't you? Why can't you like them all? Boxing is in a good place, I think. I just don't like how certain sanctioning bodies are behaving. They're out of line. WBC, you're out of line, man. Mauricio Suleiman, what are you doing, bro? Mauricio Suleiman is an awesome guy, by the way. I want to just make that abundantly clear. He's an awesome guy. He's provided several opportunities, and they have several different programs. The WBC is the only sanctioning body that offers VADA, for all their athletes to start a clean boxing program. So I shout out to the WBC for that. I'm not, like I said, I'm critical of certain things Mauricio Suleiman and the WBC do. I don't understand the franchise championship belt. Mauricio Suleiman, you'll have to explain that to me. And I don't also understand why you guys did not seriously penalize Oscar Valdez for what he did, because it's obvious that he was cheating. And not just cheating, but I'm going to go there. He intentionally cheated, okay? And I believe it's because his opponent was somebody that beat him in the amateurs, and he was really kind of, he's unsure about himself when facing that guy. I don't know if he cheated for a belt fight. Of course, all things are fair game now. But I would say this to Oscar Valdez. Nobody's perfect in this life. All right, Oscar. And you're a hell of a fighter. Oscar Valdez is a hell of a fighter. Okay? I'm going to just be straight with you guys. So is Canelo. But I want to tell Oscar Valdez this. Bruh, be confident in you. If you never do another thing in your life, be comfortable with yourself. You don't have to try to get this extra edge from somewhere because you're unsure. Confront your fears and your insecurities, so you can get more confidence in yourself. You don't need PEDs. For all those people out there who are taking PEDs out there, let me just say this. If you're taking legal PEDs, which is natural products, that's a totally different story. But if you're taking PEDs, why are you doing that? You're showing us you need something else to make you the best. You are not sufficient to be the best. Shout out to Patty the Baddie Pimlet. Valdez could have killed the JFK and still be cool with the WBC. I'm going to leave that alone. I don't know who this person is, but you're hilarious. Yeah, I'm saying this, okay? This is all I'm saying. I'm saying that you as a fighter need to know you are sufficient. I was listening to Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson says something so powerful. He says a lot of people who think that money will bring them peace and happiness have not come into money. He said, I've been there, done that. It don't do that. He said humility is understanding that you are sufficient. Meaning, anything that you have to do in this life calls for you to stop looking at yourself and pitting yourself against other things. You are sufficient. You're here. I'm here. He's here. We're all here. Right? But our positions in life change. Sometimes we're high, sometimes we're low. Like me. When I first came on this YouTube, I was clean cut, glasses, put together. And now look at me. Bushy, crazy looking, right? But I'm the same person. I am sufficient. I understand I am sufficient. Meaning, whether I'm high or whether I'm low, I'm okay. Because I understand that I'm here to do something. I'm here to do something. It's not, I'm here and look at me. Forget that. I'm here to do something. I'm here as a servant, to serve, to do something for others. That's why humility helps us to see that. We have a purpose. And the purpose is not for ourselves, but for others. We are here to serve. Right? So ultimately, in the end, I am sufficient to do that. You get it now? What's more important in life is our relationships with each other. What I can do for you, what you can do for me, and what he can do for him, and blah, 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 blah. Right? That's humility. Humility is not a punishment. Oh, he humbled him. And that's not humility. Humility is not just lowness, it is ears to the ground. When you're a humble person, you're going to get more information. And because you're humble, you know what to do with the information. It's not going to use it as a tool, as a weapon. You're not gathering information to weaponize it. No. You are gathering information to serve. Got it? Humility is awesome because it helps you to get in touch with everything. Everything. You can't do it if you're not humble because you're going to focus on yourself. However, I love what Mike Tyson said as well. He said, but you got to have confidence. You got to know what you're capable of. You can't doubt yourself. And you shouldn't doubt God. Because God said, a man who asks for something without doubting will receive it. So you cannot doubt yourself. You can't second guess what God puts in your heart to do. See what I'm saying? So yes, we are sufficient for this time. That's humility. Right? We're sufficient to do the job. We're capable. Right? So I say this only to say, ultimately, that when we're talking about Oscar Valdez and so on, we don't need money. We don't need money to have value. We are the value. Money is a means. I do something for somebody, they pay me. Right? They pay me so that I can live. Right? That's what the money's for. It's to help you live, right? So, okay, you get the absolute necessities out the way, and now you go with the little comforts that you want for yourself, right? But ultimately, in the end, if you have a lot of money that you can't even spend yourself, what you gonna do with it? You're gonna use it to serve others. You're gonna do it, whether it's your family, whether it's your friends, whether it's your enemies, whether it's strangers. You're gonna use it to serve somebody. You're gonna invest some of it, but that investment is gonna end up in the pockets of someone else, ultimately in the end, not you. Right? So let's be real here. Let's be real here. Truth of the story is that Oscar Valdez needs to have confidence in himself. You know? And here's another thing. I've seen so many gifted, talented, wonderful boxers. But I always found that there's always a group of people that really spoil it for them and make other people hate. Take Canelo Alvarez. Very gifted boxer. Talented. Skilled. But then somebody comes along and says, I need to help this guy. And a judge calls it 114 against Floyd Mayweather when Canelo knows that's a whitewash. You tarnish the boxer's career when you try to help them by cheating. They are sufficient. They are sufficient. They don't need your help. Canelo Alvarez has this cloud over him where it seems as if the judges always favor him. And it seems that you can't win a fight against him. That's the feeling by many. Even in this upcoming Caleb Plant fight, people feel that some judges have been bought. We know now that the WBC, one of the judges that scored the Oscar Valdez versus the other guy fight, was a lifelong WBC member and a lifelong WBC supporter. Close to Mauricio Sulaiman. And now he came out, he apologized, but they need to do an investigation into him. And then he should never judge another fight ever again in his life. Period. No high profile fights. Maybe you can give him the small little matches. He should never. And he's the one that actually made us all see blatantly that this guy's being robbed. The referee penalizes the opponent, Oscar Valdez, for simply tapping him on the shoulder or the head and body. For that, You're going to penalize the guy? Why? Because Oscar Valdez needs the help from you to win the fight? Don't do that. We see fans all the time. Whether it's Wilder, Tyson Fury, Pacquiao, Mayweather, GGG, vehemently defending these fighters. They're all great fighters. What they did was sufficient. Why do you think you need to put down a fighter to make your fighter look great? If you have to put down someone, think about what I'm saying now. If you have to put down someone to make your fighter look great, then he wasn't great to begin with. Because the other fighter was above his level. So you have to put him down to make him look like he's higher. But they already did what they did. Their records are sufficient. Their records are sufficient enough for us to be inspired by them, to want to do something with our lives as magnificent and excellent as they have. And don't you ever tell me, Manny Pacquiao was knocked out 8 times. And so, look what he did though. Floyd Mayweather, all he has is 50-0. Many people have done 50-0. No. Only one. Him. There have been other undefeated fighters. There have been other fighters who have gone on long winning streaks. But no fighter that has had a perfect record like that with so many fights. None. There's none. There was one. He was 51-0 and he lost. Came back and he lost this fight. Okay? Nobody else in the history of boxing right now has retired with that many fights undefeated with a perfect record. Nobody. There's no one. At least high profile, that is. Okay? Stop it. Stop it. It's not easy to get 50-0. Oh, hey, a lot of people can do it, man. If 50-0, if it is, then do it. Show me. Don't talk. Don't tell me stuff. If it's so easy, then do it. Otherwise, shut up. Triple G. Triple G's a great fighter. Blah, 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 blah. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. And he knocked out a lot of guys. You don't have to prove to me that Triple G's great by putting down Canelo, or putting down Floyd, or putting down Cotto. Because, in your opinion, they should have faced Triple G. All the way up at middleweight, or at 154, whatever. Stop it. Triple G, what he did was sufficient. The media overhyped him. Why? I enjoyed the fighter. I thought he was great. Then why you need to try and help him out? You don't need to help him out. He is sufficient. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. They overhyped Lomachenko. They took away his defeat. Why? He is sufficient. What he has done is remarkable anyway. It will not change. Why do you need to add to it? Why do you need to cheat? Why do you need to configure? Why do you need to talk? That's what turns people off. The fighter's a good fighter. The fighter, his fighting will speak for him. He will speak for himself. He is sufficient. Don't create no narrators about him. Like with Pacquiao and Mayweather. I never forget this. They created all these terrible narrators about Mayweather. Oh, he's a wife beater, even though he never had a wife. he goes with hoes and he's this and that and the other, and he's the devil and he's evil. And Pacquiao's this angel coming to crush him. And the narrative never worked out. Why? Because Pacquiao is sufficient as Pacquiao. Mayweather is sufficient as Mayweather. Instead of trying to make your own political campaign and it backfires because you cannot fight for Pacquiao and you cannot fight for Mayweather, why not just watch the fight and enjoy it? And those people were so stinking partisan that they can't to this day enjoy the fight. Great fight. It was a great fight. And your Dennis Ugas proves the point that it was a great fight by implementing the same strategy Floyd was doing. But you have some Pacquiao fans who constantly say Floyd ran and this and that. No. He is sufficient. And so is his record. You may have your opinions of where he lands in the pantheon of the greatest of all time and all of that stuff. That's your opinion. But when it comes to hating on the guy because he beat your favorite fighter, don't do that. Because he is sufficient. So, I try to edify people on boxing because there's a lot to celebrate about boxing. And there's a lot of fighters none of you newbies know about that needs to be celebrated and must not be forgotten. Look up the name not Alfonso Gomez. Nicaraguan guy, I think he was. He'll come to me. There's so many great fighters out here. So many, and so many still alive that should be celebrated. That half of you, or almost more than 90% of you, don't even know who they are. And we need to do something about that. We need to educate people on boxing history. We need to educate people on boxing because there's a lot to celebrate when it comes to boxing. A lot. And we need to be in a celebratory attitude and behavior. We have gotten, in the COVID environment, we have gotten some really good fights this year. Okay? And we are looking forward to some really good fights. Alexander Usyk versus Anthony Joshua. I don't know how that fight's going to pan out. I'm looking to see. I'm very interested and intrigued in that fight. That's a hell of a fight. And it's coming right around the corner. Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder. It's coming right around the corner. That's their third fight between those two. And I hope they become really good friends and pals because those two are the most pragmatic of all the boxers in boxing right now. They're very pragmatic. Both of them. I love them both. And then we have, as if that's not enough, Terrence Crawford versus Sean Porter may happen somewhere in November. Mandalay Bay. November the 30th or something like that. That's a hell of a cracker of a fight. Sean Porter's fights are always action-packed. I don't know any Sean Porter fight that's not action-packed. That's going to be a hell of a fight. I look forward to it. That's exciting. Okay, we didn't get Pacquiao versus Errol Spence, unfortunately, because Errol Spence, tore his retina, but I'm sure he's going to repair and he's going to come back bigger and better and stronger. So I'm cool. Errol is a hell of a fighter. But we got this year instead Manny Pacquiao versus Yordenis Ugas, and I thought Pacquiao was going to beat Ugas, and Ugas beat Pacquiao. And imagine this. I know a lot of people don't said his bicep was fine. No, I don't think his bicep was fine. I think he needed bicep surgery. I may be wrong. But it looked like he had a bicep tear. And Pacquiao said he had leg cramps. Which is cool. But at the end of the day, Ugas pulled the upset. And he beat Manny Pacquiao. Okay? And we have something to look forward to because Pacquiao says, I'm coming for you, bro. I'm coming for my belt. I'm coming for my belt. So, Pacquiao looks like he wants to rematch Ugas. I can't tell you how much balls Pacquiao has to do this because I can't tell you. He's 40, he's 43 now. He's going to be 43 when he has that fight. Pacquiao's doing something that's just weird. He is fighting guys that are not of his generation at all. At all. It's like clearly removed by 2 generations from him. And I mean, Pacquiao is old enough to be Ugas's, he could be his young father. You know what I'm saying? It's just impressive. Ugas is 35. Pacquiao's like 42. He would have had him when he was 7, so that's not really feasible, but nonetheless. Well, my point anyway is, Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao is a hell of a fighter. He's a legendary fighter. The fact that he's even fighting at 43 is just crazy. And, I mean, none of his contemporaries have been able to hold up at welterweight like he has. So, I mean, he's just a phenomenal fighter. And no matter what anybody tells me, I disagree. I tell you, Manny Pacquiao is a hell of a fighter. I'm going to say that over and over again. He's a tremendous fighter. I know certain people use those words like tremendous and hell of a fighter. No, seriously. The guy is just incredible. Okay? He's an incredible fighter. And one day I'll really unpack everything that Pacquiao does. He's a clever fighter as well. So, you guys could go to, I'm trying to remember the channel. But whenever I do, I'll try to put it in the comment section. But man, Manny Pacquiao's a hell of a fighter. Okay? And that's something we'll have to look forward to. And whether he wins, loses, or draws, I'm just happy to see him in the ring one more time. But he can't afford to take much more punishment. I don't want to see him get knocked out. I hope he prepares well for the fight. But, yeah, that's Manny Pacquiao, which is just a once-in-a-lifetime, once-in-a-generation kind of fighter. If so. Mayweather's the same thing, of course. But what I'm saying is that they are sufficient. They are sufficient. And when you see a fighter's career winding down, let me see if I can give you guys a perspective of what we got and why boxing is not dying or, all this other carajo, okay? 1. In our time, we have seen these super heavyweights. We've seen Vladimir Klitschko, Vitaly Klitschko. We've seen Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder, Anthony Joshua. All of these guys above 6'5". We've also had the age where we've had Sergey Kovalev, Andre Ward, Triple G, Sergio Martinez, who was another rare guy because he was like in his 30s when he was fighting and became world champion. Paul Williams, Canelo Alvarez, Arslan Lara, Jamal Charlo, Dmitry Bivol, Artur Beterbiev, Govorzik, Caleb Plant, Demetrius Andrade, David Benavidez, Jamal Charlo, Jamel Charlo, J. Rock Williams, Castagna, Brian Castagna, Tony Harrison, Costazu's son, Tim Zhu. Look at all the talent and stuff we've seen during this era. Winky Wright, Felix Trinidad, Oscar De La Hoya. Oh man, Shane Mosley, Miguel Cotto, Austin Trout, Carlos Quintana, Kermit Cintron, Paulie Malignaggi, Adrian Broner, Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao, Terrence Crawford, Errol Spence, Danny Garcia. I'm just trying to go through just from now, go back, Just the era is crazy. A lot of skilled people. We have Lamar Peterson, Timothy Bradley, Juan Manuel Marquez. We have Jaron Ennis. We have Virgil Ortiz, Victor Ortiz, Robert Guerrero, Andre Berto. When they were in their primes, whatever, you can go with that. You have, Jesse Vargas, uh, Marcos Maidana. I mean, I could just go on and on and on and on and on and on and on. How many names of people we have seen in our generation? When I say our generation, I was born pretty early. I was born in the 70s. But if you're talking about people from the 80s move forward, or even the 90s move forward, we've seen a lot of great boxers. You know, a lot of great boxers. You know, from 1995 all the way up to 2021, we've seen a lot of great boxers. And you know, people say, well, the era of, you know, the Mayweather era was weak. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. You just had, you know, and we're in a different era now. And all of this just to tell people that, look, y'all guys need to wake up and be more positive about boxing. And yes, there are negative things that need to be addressed and dealt with, but there's a lot of positive in boxing. And we need to lift the sport up. I remember seeing Baby Jake versus Michael Carvajal. I don't know if you guys remember that fight. Was at, I believe it was at, I think it was at flyweight. And, I mean, that was a great fight. Michael Carvajal was a great fighter. And that's just one of many fights that fill up the world of boxing. You know, Baby Jake died recently. And I believe Ernesto Marcel died last year. And a bunch of fighters died last year. Roger Mayweather, and just a bunch of fighters died last year. And we need to remember these fighters. And those who are alive right now, we need to remember them as well. You know, all the world champions, all the guys who contributed to boxing in so many different ways. So my bottom line take-home message is that, you know, I know this video was on stoppage of, you know, the fight with Evander Holyfield and the other guy. But bottom line is this. In boxing, if legends want to come back and do that in exhibitions, I'm all for that. I don't necessarily think a legend should, unless he's facing a guy similar age, go back into pro fighting. Like I said, unless they're facing somebody similar age, fine. But I don't have a problem with legends fighting. I have no problem with these events that happen, you know, with YouTubers and stuff. It's very interesting. It's very innovative. It's very refreshing. But, of course, the premier thing is the actual pro fights. And so I love the cards which feature, you know, guys who were formerly YouTube boxers. And cards like on Showtime, which, you know, had, you know, or Triller, which have, you know, legends coming back to face each other. I'm glad that also on those cards we have actual pro fights. And some good pro fights. Right? So that's all I got to say for now. I am what you need. I hope you guys have a blessed day, the remainder of your day. I got to go out, go to work. So I'll see you guys later. Peace.